Hello, people of YouTube land, and those that follow the Ted and I, and also our guest here, Mike Riot, on Twitch. People that are part of the Cringe Crew Gaming Community Discord. Those that are listening to this on Spotify or any other place that we post this to. I am Jaductus.
I'm Ted.
I'm that piece of crap Mike Riot that's on the show once in a while.
And this is the Cringe Crew Gaming Movie Review Podcast. We haven't seen Mike since the Moonraker episode of the James Bond podcast, so I figured, since, he had his presence in that fantastically awesome movie, he should guest in this one.
This is still my favorite podcast that only exclusively has guests named Mike. And if you guessed it on the show and your name's not Mike, yes, it is.
But anyway, we are doing the sequel to the last movie that we did because we're on Werewolf Week. This is the last movie of Werewolf Week. Before we did The Howling, and today we are doing 1985's Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf, also known as Howling 2, Sterba, Werewolf Bitch, which basically says everything you kind of need to know about this movie. Released in August 28th, 1985 in France, December 1985 in the United States. Oddly enough, it is not the last movie of the Howling franchise to be released in theaters. The third movie was, which I'm surprised that was even released in theaters, or even this one. But this movie here had a budget of $2 million and somehow managed to have Christopher Lee in this movie.
No, it fucking didn't. I don't care what that sheet says. There's no way in hell. No fucking way in hell they spent that $2 million on it. Maybe on the cocaine.
This was directed by Felipe Mora. The reason behind that, why Joe Dante didn't return, is because Gary Brander, the person that wrote the original 1977 novel, The Howling, and also its sequel, Howling 2, and then eventually he made Howling 3 Echoes. He was originally writing the script to this, and then had the rights to it, and also a producer. And he was not a fan of Joe Dante and what Joe Dante did took liberties with his source material. However, Gary Brander, after he got done writing most of the script, had to leave due to meeting a deadline for a novel, and therefore he had to leave. And the writer that came in after him scrapped everything that he had down and decided to use his vampire movie script and just substituted werewolves in it. So that makes a lot of sense.
So much more of that movie makes way more sense now.
On top of that, apparently during filming, they were supposed to get werewolf costumes. However, unfortunately, the suits that were the creative suits that came were marked 20th Century Planet of the Apes. Director Philip Morris was obviously horrified to find that he was given monkey suits, and then contacted the producer, who replied, "You're talented, you can make it work," and then hung up on him.
Talented is the only compliment that man has ever received. The only one. It was a lie, and it's the only one he's ever gotten. Jesus Christ.
So
the worst part about those costumes was they made zero effort to fix them or modify them in a way that would have made them look anything like werewolves.
And
Just saying.
with that being said, we're gonna get into casting. Obviously, Sir Christopher Lee's in this, and Christopher Lee, he ended up taking the role because, oddly enough, he never did a werewolf movie before. So, that's the explanation that he gave, and I'm not sure if that's true or not. But
I had played Dracula 9 times, but had not been in a werewolf movie.
Also, when they shot this movie in Prague, and when Christopher Lee showed up to the town, when he showed up to Prague in Czechoslovakia, what the director didn't realize is that Christopher Lee's a war hero in Czechoslovakia due to the fact that being in the Secret Service and was a Nazi hunter. He was given a hero's welcome when he showed up. Which shocked the hell out of Felipe Mora because he had no idea. Also, Christopher Lee, apparently between shots due to the bad acting of Reb Brown and Annie McEnroe, who are the other two main people in this. There's actually about 4 main people in this movie. Actually 5, but he would basically sit in his own corner and just try to wish himself away off this movie. And when Christopher Lee did the movie Gremlins 2, which was directed by Joe Dante, who directed the first Howling movie, the first thing Christopher Lee did on set was apologize to Joe Dante for being in Howling 2.
Wishing that that movie would go away is exactly how I watched this movie too.
All right, the next cast is Annie McEnroe as Jenny Templeton. She's known for being Sally Mae Giddens in the 1980 movie Running Scared, and had like a bit part in Beetlejuice and the Hebrew Hammer. However, Reb Brown has a little bit of more of a better filmography, as in he played Captain America twice for 2 made-for-TV films, and also played serial killer Private Edward J. Leoneski in the 1986 movie Death of a Soldier.
I love that you said that his film career was better, and then your leadoff was 2 straight-to-TV movies.
Yeah, but it was Captain America.
Yeah, two TV movies with Captain America in a period of time when adaptations like that were
Terrible.
not good. Not good and made for TV. I'm going to find these now. I want to know.
We also have Marsha Hunt as Mariana, who the character Mariana was originally supposed to be what the hell is her name? I gotta look this up. Absolutely.
Good research.
Yeah.
was
supposed to be Marcia Quist from the first film. However, actor Elizabeth Brooks did not want to come back for the sequel because she was rather pissed off that she was lied to about the nude scene that she did in Howling 1. Supposedly, she was promised that there would be her naked body would be hidden behind flames, which they weren't. So therefore, she was pissed off. Was like, no, I'm not gonna fucking, be in another Howling movie. Go fuck yourself. So she was replaced. So that character was replaced with Mariana, played by Marsha Hunt, who is known for a bunch of stage work, including the rock musical Hair, and she also has a kid to Mick Jagger. Then we have Sybil Danning as Sturba, who is the main villain of this movie. Sybil Danning's known for being in a bunch of B movies, including Chained Heat, Hercules, Malibu Express, Battle Beyond the Stars, Reformed Schoolgirls. This movie, and she was also in Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween.
She's basically the one other person in this movie that you would know from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that I would know her from any of those things, to be honest with you.
Oh, and she was also in the Concorde Airport 79. Sybil Danning was kind of sick of like being cast in movies where she would have to do nude scenes, so she basically agreed to do only one like scene of her topless. And used to say that scene was repeated 17 times in the ending credits, and she was also rather pissed off about it, but eventually she learned to go like, nah, it's kind of funny that they pulled that, but still, like, what the fuck.
Well, they didn't lie to her.
And that's really all that matters with cast. So we'll get into likes and dislikes.
Well, I know the dislikes for me are going to be way longer.
Oh, shit, I forgot the plot.
There was a plot?
There was a plot?
Alright,
That's the plot. The plot is there was a plot, question mark.
The whole script seemed like it was just written on the spot to me.
Also, the new wave elements in this is because the director wanted to make a horror film based off of a new wave eroticism.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you guys lead off with likes, because I know that my dislikes are just about all of them.
Alright, now, I will say this much. When we did Werewolf Week, I said this was like, must-see werewolf movies, and the only reason why I say this is a must-see werewolf movie is because, one, it is my favorite werewolf movie of all time, just because it's that entertainingly fucking bad. Like, it's such a shit show that I think people should, like, watch it.
Later.
What?
Oh, nothing.
But yeah, it's such a shit show that I think it should be watched at least once. And I also wanted to see Ted's reaction to this movie.
Oh, dear God.
As bad as it is, I agree with you there. Like, it's a thing you've got to see once.
And only
and
once.
Never again.
Only once.
Never again.
But like, if I'm in the mood to watch a werewolf movie, just watch a movie with werewolves and be entertained for like a 1.5 hours, I'll pick this one out of anything. But I will say this much: if I want a serious werewolf movie, the first one. And all the other sequels range from like bland to like so terrible that they're unwatchable. So like, number 2 is worth at least one watch, but like the first one's the only good one out of them all so far. But I like how everything, like, they fuck up so many things. They fuck up the werewolf lore with vampire lore. The acting's completely freaking terrible, and there's like a lot of crazy bullshit that they just throw in there that you're just like, what the fuck? Which I'm pretty sure Mike has like a lot of things he has to say.
No, my whole thing is the things that I do like about this are because it's so bad. Like, there's a lot of comedic value in how wrong everything is. And since you mentioned the thing about the script originally being a vampire story,
it
makes so much more sense now. But the costumes are so fucking bad. Like, the literal gorilla costumes, and they have like basically like spirit Halloween werewolf masks on over their face. They didn't bother to add ears, which is that literally would have taken like a couple of pieces of scrap fabric off the floor and a couple of headbands they could have got for $1. It would have made it infinitely better looking. That's the thing. You can't even compare this to the first movie because you could watch them back to back and have no idea that they were supposed to be related in any way whatsoever. Except for
this is the only one that's connected.
Yeah, and there's the only thing that connects it though is there's a clip of the end of the first movie, which they even fucked that up.
Because they reshot it.
Yeah. It's the 17 uses of that topless scene and the credits is one of the most hilarious things ever. Because at first they repeat it a couple of times and you're like, oh, that's kind of weird.
I genuinely chalked it up to bad editing the first time. I was like, did they not know that they just cut that in there?
Yeah, because it looks like a mistake at first, but then you watch the rest of the credits, and it's literally just that shot of her ripping her top off, and then just a bunch of other scenes that would look like reactions to it spliced in immediately afterwards. And it's comedically, it's genius.
But
it's the best part of the whole movie.
It's just one actor with, hey, look, titties and a smile on his face, and then back to the ripping the top off, and then just a different actor, and then rip the top off. It was so fucking dumb.
The best one was when they followed it up with the exploding eyeballs.
And it's also when the theme song like climaxes with the
You have to move my phone further away because
Which, by the way, I do like
what I was doing, and they're trying to call me.
I do like the soundtrack of this. The only issue I have with that is that
hold on,
they
backtrack.
repeat.
It's not a soundtrack. It's one fucking song. It's not a goddamn soundtrack. It's a single. Absolutely not.
Which starts off pretty like it slaps in the beginning, but then by the time you get to the end of the movie, you're like, just go away.
And there's only 3 variations of it too. Like there's an instrumental one, then there's the studio version with the vocals, and then there's the live version at the end. But the instrumental and then the studio one get played constantly throughout the entire freaking movie. Like
I honestly didn't.
I was actually going to tally this all down, but like I wasn't able to find time to do that, so I can't give the time, but it's probably at least 20. It's at least 20 times.
I quite genuinely did not realize that the live recording at the end was different than the first several. I thought the instrumental was just a section of the same song. Like I had no idea there were even 3 versions of this. I thought it was all the same bullshit.
There's 3 versions.
The instrumental's noticeable. I did not notice at the end it was live versus the studio recorded one in the beginning. They sounded exactly the same. Oh, fuck. I was going to say something. I don't remember what the hell it was. That just frustrated me so. Oh, it was like one point about 60 minutes in when like things are kind of quiet, and I actually called it out while we were watching the movie. I'm like, it's been a while since we heard the song. And it just starts slowly fading in. Fantastic.
And this band hasn't done anything since. Although the lead singer did
I'm shocked.
The lead singer did do like a bunch of film scores and actually is like a rather successful music composer. But I guess everybody else, like they were in like another band called State Project or something. The band in this case is called Babel. But other than that, like this is it.
Most people wouldn't even know this song unless they'd seen this movie.
Right.
Yeah, and then they've been tired of it, so they'll never listen to it again.
I still think the song slaps, but like I even got annoyed by like how many times they put this movie in there. So I guess we'll just let Ted blow a gasket.
So you mentioned earlier, Mike, that you said that like if you didn't put the movies back to back, like even if you did, you wouldn't know that they were the same movie. They don't carry over any of the cast. The only thing that they carry over was
direction.
It was
art
botched.
Direction, cinematography, fucking everything. Everything is completely different.
Yeah, no, lights went out the window, sound went out the window, script, acting, all of it out the fucking window. The best thing that the Howling had was some effects. And then the Howling 2 is just like, what if we put a green light in front of the camera? Fuck it.
What if we just didn't do that?
Yeah, right.
You know that really, really awesome effects work, makeup, costumes we had in the first movie? What if we just don't have any of that?
Yeah, let's just substitute that with like Christopher Lee. That's it's like Christopher Lee. Yeah, that's all the good acting we need for the entire movie. Although I will give some props to Sybil Danning. She tried with what she was given.
Well, Christopher Lee's another gripe for me, to be completely honest, because like the very beginning of the movie, right, leads off with this fast-paced, like this werewolf drags them all to a fucking abandoned warehouse, hunts them all down, and murders them. Like, it starts with this the upbeat music, fast paced, just let this bitch murder everyone. And then Christopher Lee, very calculated and slow, methodical. Like, even that was fucking out of place, dude. Like, they even wasted that. They get one fucking decent actor, and he's out of place, too. Like, what the fuck was that? Beyond that, man, like, the fact that the fucking werewolves were just goddamn oversized Ewoks. Like, they were just so soft and fucking cuddly, except for the goddamn, like, teeth that they put in front. You said that the ears would help, and they'd still look like you'd want to fucking cuddle them after you bagged their heads.
They'd look more like werewolves, at least.
Fuck, dude. Like, I genuinely believe that they did not get one element of this movie correct. You have the ability
apparently
to
it was
laugh at
also
it.
re-edited after the director, like, edited this, and then apparently, like, the producer went back and had them re-edit everything.
Oh, no, this is far too good. You need to go back and just fuck this up worse.
There are some really shitty movies out there that are enjoyable because they're shitty, right? Like, I will vouch until the end of time. You can go back and watch Velocipaster as many times as you want, and it's still fucking funny because it's so goddamn terrible. And this one, like, they didn't even get that right. Like, there was, like, an effort towards a plot. Like, the fuck, man? They didn't get a single goddamn thing right.
That's what makes it funny, is that they were trying.
Yeah, it's
what's
fun to
even
laugh
funnier is that
at,
there's
not
like
the
random
movie.
explosions. They add like witchcraft into it for no apparent reason.
Oh, the horrible fucking, like, superimposed on the film, old school, like, drawn in special effects that typically, like, I didn't think there was any way to fuck those up. They always look good. They always look creepy, like drawn on ghosts or fucking lightning or things like that. I don't know what the hell they did with it, that it looked, it just looked blurry and smeary and poorly animated. Like,
the one that I
like
noticed
somebody had
most,
spilled something on the film.
the one that I noticed most, it was towards the end. There was that like green swirl that was going around those two characters. Both halves of the swirl were in front of the characters, so it was just swirling next to them instead of around them. Like,
yeah, they didn't even bother to try and like make it look like the shit was obscured behind them at all.
Nope,
there was no occlusion at all. They just drew the whole thing.
They just put a tornado between the camera and the actors, made of green, like just inexplicably green shadow. God, they didn't get a single goddamn thing right.
Nothing. They were just like, we got Christopher Lee and then tits. That was basically it, because there's like really weird, uncomfortable like werewolf orgies in this movie. Which are way out of place. Yeah.
No, none of this needed to be there.
Constantly, they cut back to like the same scene, like everyone.
Well, yeah, and they're like in different stages of transformation during this whole thing, and like most of it just looks like gross, sweaty people that rolled in some loose dog hair. It doesn't have any sort of directionality to it or anything. They're just sweaty looking, and fuzz is stuck to them.
And then on top of that, like near the end of the film, there's like this one werewolf. Like the werewolves in this movie, like the last one, can change at will, but apparently this one werewolf can't control it. Even though every other werewolf in this movie, and then also the previous movie, can control it and then control themselves in werewolf form, but apparently this one dude can't because it goes with the plot, apparently. And so the one werewolf, Mariana, has to whip this dude that's half changed into a freaking werewolf to, like, go get the lady that they kidnapped, and then in 2 seconds they both just get shot and stabbed. Like Red Brown.
And to the same point of them, like, they fucked up their own lore that they established in the first movie, which, like, they very much intended to make this a sequel, even if it fucking wasn't.
Then they fucked up werewolves because...
No, then at the very beginning, they're like, hey, we've already fucked up the lore, they're halfway vampires. What if we made super werewolves? It's like a fucking 8-year-old got direction on this, dude.
Oh yeah, they can only be killed with titanium.
Yeah, there's werewolves, but then there's super werewolves, and it's not.
And then
steel,
Sturba
it's
is the super
titanium.
super werewolf because she's also a witch.
Right? Just what the fuck, dude?
There is no way that any part of this was penned by a sane person or anybody that wasn't on heavy narcotics.
It's more believable that the cocaine got up and walked to write the script itself rather than going through something that lived. Like
That's literally the best way to describe the entire script of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't have one positive reason that anyone should watch this. Even if you're looking for a bad movie, there are better ways to watch a bad movie. This is just an abomination of a film.
It's an easy movie to make a drinking game out of.
I could just get shit faced and not have to.
I feel like people like if this is the sort of thing you're into and you want to go on the horror movie journey, like you kind of gotta, like I said before, you gotta see it once. You don't need any more than that. You just need enough of it so you're like, okay, I can get these references in the conversation.
I think I have like such attachment to this because like when I was in high school, like me and a couple friends like saw this, and then so we would always make references to it. So maybe it's more of like a nostalgia thing for me. But like,
I find it so hard to believe that anyone could find nostalgia in this. I don't get nostalgic over stand-up acts. Like, comedy doesn't retain that well.
The way I had to have originally seen this either would have been like just super late night on like fucking Cinemax or HBO or something.
Showtime's how I saw it. Showtime Beyond.
Or it was either that or it was from the guaranteed bad rental section at the local movie store at the time. It was one of those two sources, I'll guarantee it.
Guaranteed bad movies for like what was it, 99¢?
Yep, 99¢ rentals, guaranteed to be bad or your money back. they get. You gotta love a video store that's like, we're guaranteeing that you're gonna be disappointed by this.
At least they were up front.
But like late night premium channels, that section at the rental place, that's where like we saw a lot of terrible stuff, like fucking Maniac Cop.
Speaking of which, I actually saw like a movie poster at the local video store that just recently shut down where I'm at. They had this movie poster, and I just thought the movie poster looked really cool. And then years later, I ended up seeing the movie, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I mean that was like a thing back when. That's the thing you kind of miss. You miss now with a lot of streaming stuff because most of them don't even use fucking box art anymore.
Right.
It was like going to the video store, going to the horror section, and just kind of like browsing through. You don't read the back of the case. You just look at the cover, and then you're like, okay, that one. We're gonna see where this takes us. And sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't.
First off, that leads to two questions, because the first would be what would be the cover art for this bullshit? Because if they put witchcraft or vampires or werewolves, doesn't matter which, you're still misled. If
I recall, the poster was mostly red, and it had the I can't even fucking remember her name now.
It's Sybil Danning with sunglasses, with her like red nails, like ripping through like the.
Yep, that sounds familiar.
With the tagline, "The rocking, shocking new wave of horror."
I'm just saying, if they advertise werewolves, you got misled. If they advertise vampires, you got misled. If they advertise sorcery, you get misled.
They kind of advertise vampires because their teeth are actually kind of like a fucking vampire.
Yeah.
If they didn't say Howling on it, you wouldn't even know that it was a fucking werewolf movie.
Not at all. Maybe some weird thing about bestiality, not about werewolves. And the second question then is, if you picked this up out of the horror section from the cover, which again, why the fuck would you? How fucking disappointed are you that this is the dumb shit you came home with?
I feel like based on this cover, I would fully expect this to be the movie that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I could leak you the cover.
Oh god, it just fuck, dude. Like, this is so bad.
Matter of fact, I'll actually.
I'm so upset we spent the time on this, to be honest. It's the perfect way to end Werewolf Week for us, but the worst way to spend any time ever.
I do have to ask you because I didn't pay attention when we were streaming. Did you fucking rent this or did you find this for free somewhere? Tell me you didn't spend money on it.
Oh, I didn't spend money on it. This is actually for free with Amazon Prime.
Oh, well, fantastic. That works out then.
Yeah, so now you just pay an Amazon subscription. Bezos gets your money for making you suffer through this film.
Hey, you gotta use it to watch something every now. What is this cat behind me looking at? What are you doing? Hi.
Anyway, any final things?
I'm thrilled Werewolf Week is over. That's my final thing.
God, I feel like I really missed out.
No, you didn't. No, you fucking didn't.
My basic final thought on this one is like you have to see this one at least once, but seriously do yourself a favor and watch the first movie.
Yeah, you don't want the ending of the first movie ruined by this one.
Don't. Actually, no. Just watch the first movie because the first movie was semi decent. Like it was low budget, yes, but goddamn, the practical effects of that movie and the makeup
were
good.
Great.
Even if it did take 45 minutes for a werewolf to transform every time it happened.
All right, well...
And even if the werewolves did have bunny ears.
Yeah, at least those ones had ears. All right, I think that's going to wrap us up here. As always, you can catch us in the Discord and watch more movies with us. You can also check each of us out on Twitch. Mike Riot is RiotXL365, right? Nailed it.
Yep.
Stallman at Traductus, myself at Ted Green Eagles. Thanks again, Mike, for joining us. And we'll see you here next week for, I think it's Haley's picks. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, see you next week.